Hey folks, it's the Aspie Cowboy here, and today I've got another video, and this video is going to be another talking video, which I haven't done one of these in at least a couple months, I believe. Most of the videos I've done in the past were mostly just driving videos, where the last video I did was us in Kentucky and stuff. I reviewed that restaurant, so I've mostly just been doing driving videos. So this time I'm just going to be talking, giving some advice, and giving some commentary from my point of view on rejection. That's going to be the title of this video, the theme of this video. That's what we're talking about. So I'm going to talk about rejection and how I view it and how I kind of overcome it, even though it's not easy to overcome. Even at 33 years old, I still can't totally get over being rejected, because it's, no one ever enjoys it. But I'm going to talk about like how I deal with it, how I cope with being rejected, and hope it helps in some way. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. So to start off, so the whole reason why I'm making this video is because of something that happened yesterday. So originally, a couple years ago, I went to the Motor City Comic Con with a few acquaintances. We have an autism group that we meet up every now and then. We just kind of talk. And so we went to the Comic Con together, and I went up to the booth and I asked them if I could, do like a shout out to my friends over the loudspeaker. I thought that'd be pretty fun, because I love public speaking, and they always like it when I give them a shout out, because we've been bowling together and I've given them shout outs. We went to an arcade once and I gave them a shout out over the microphone. So I always enjoy doing that. They enjoy it because they like hearing their names shouted out. So I thought, hey, I'd love to get to announce at a big event like the Comic Con, the Motor City Comic Con. And so I asked them, and the person at the booth told me they would let me do it. They thought it was a great idea, but the unfortunate thing was they didn't have a microphone for me to do it. At first they told me to just wait around, because they thought they would eventually get a microphone, because this was when the Comic-Con had just started. So okay, I waited around for a while, and eventually I checked back with them. They told me no, they still didn't have a mic. They told me to go to another booth. They thought that they might have one, and so I went there. And I told them the same story about, I wanted to give a shout out to my friends, and they just flat out told me no. They didn't even consider, they didn't say anything. They just said, no, I'm not allowed to do it, that blah, blah, blah. Basically just, I was just rejected, which kind of upset me, because I thought, man, if only they had a microphone at the first booth, they would have let me do it. I was kind of upset in a way that day. And so when, I came back home, and, I think this was like a few months later or whatever, I think because they do the Comic-Con twice a year now. So this was like a few months after that Comic-Con, there was going to be another one coming up. And so I decided to call them. I tried to email some people. I tried to email the place that hosted the Comic-Con, the building. I can't remember what it's called. I think it switched names. It used to be Suburban. But yeah, I emailed the people who own the building. I thought maybe they could help, but they said, no, I have to contact the Motor City people, the people who actually are in charge of the Comic-Con. So I contacted them, and they told me no, but they weren't like, see, I really wanted to contact like the head person, like the person in charge of the entire thing, the whole kit and caboodle, but I could only just talk to just some customer service person on the phone. They just told me no. So like, I always feel like I can at least do a good job of telling my story, and like if I could talk to the person in charge, I'd feel more comfortable. Like at least I'd have a better chance, because at least if I could talk to the person who has a real answer, instead of just some customer service person who just be told, oh well, obviously a question like that, they just immediately say no, instead of having, asking like the person in charge. So they told me no, but that was just a customer service person. And so fast forward to now, and I decided, okay, I'm going to email them, and I'm going to try to contact the person in charge. If I could talk to the person in charge, okay, at least that way I could have a definitive answer. I could have a sure answer, whether it's yes or no, and that way I could move on, or I could, have something to look forward to. Well, I messaged them, and I put in the subject, I said the message was for the person who was in charge of the Comic-Con, so it was the only person who should have been able to read and respond to that was the owner. And I wrote like 3 paragraphs. It was a long read I told them all my accomplishments, the Pistons, and all the events I've spoken at, being on TV and the radio, and all of that. And I told them, hey, I just want to give a little shout out to my friends, and then all of that. And what do I get? I get like one sentence that says, oh no, only staff are allowed to use a microphone. No, like, it kind of upset me in a way, because it's like they don't even at least acknowledge my feats, which I guess maybe I'm being biased or something. But like, to me, I feel like if just some random person was told, oh hey, you got to speak to a stadium full of like a professional sports game, like, I feel like that would be something interesting that someone would want to hear about, right? Like, I don't know, like if whoever's listening, if just someone told you, oh yeah, I got to announce at a big professional league sports game, wouldn't you at least have questions and want to know more? Like, I tell them my whole story, I tell them all about what I do, and automatically just nope, not even any consideration. And something tells me whoever read it didn't even, because they didn't tell me what their name was, who they were. They just flat out told me, no, one sentence, no, only staff can use it. So, like, I kind of wish I could have talked to the person in charge. I don't know if I did or not, but, I just figure, okay, well, that's the end of that. I'm not going to push it any further, because I don't know who I talked to. If I did talk to the owner and I tried to contact him another way, they'd probably get mad at me. So it was kind of upsetting. It'd be nice to at least have a little conversation. I put 3 paragraphs and I just get one little sentence in response, which was kind of upsetting, but okay. And so the way I kind of dealt with rejection was, I mostly just played video games. I try to forget about it, of course. And one thing I've learned, I've got more to talk about this. So, a few years ago, I was on YouTube and I found out about the series that someone had made. I can't remember their channel's name because this was years ago. But they made a playlist where they went like 100 days of rejection therapy. I can't remember how long it was. But basically, someone decided to spend a certain amount of time basically doing things that were obviously going to get them rejected as a way to basically make them better at dealing with rejection, right? Kind of like how, if you take certain doses of poison, you can kind of get an immunity to it kind of thing. So basically, this guy had decided if he gets rejected a bunch of times, that eventually getting rejected to a real thing or something that he really wanted wouldn't hurt as much. So I kind of took a lot of inspiration from that. I thought that was really inspirational because, the idea of asking certain things, like I've been rejected so much in my life, we've asked other places if I could speak at other places. I spent a whole day, like an entire day of just calling stores in my area asking, hey, this is what I do, can I help you, I work for free. All I got was no's, and it hurt, but I will say it didn't hurt too bad because I just kind of moved on. I'm like, okay, well, I tried. I think a lot of it helps because I did it over the phone. I called these places, so I feel like it really helped in that sense. Because I feel like going to in person and having to be with them face to face, like I'm awkward talking to people face to face. I prefer talking over the phone. I feel like that would be a lot more weird and uncomfortable. So at least over the phone, it wasn't that bad. I just figured, well, if they don't want me, they don't deserve me then. If they don't think I'm good enough or whatever. Or I think a lot of the people that I talked to probably didn't really understand because they probably never had anyone offering to be an announcer for their services. So to them, it was probably odd. But after a while, after calling so many places, I just was like, whatever. It kind of did get numb to me. It was just like, whatever, After a while, I just kind of expected it, that I was going to get no, but I figured, well, at least I could try. And I have to admit, there have been times where I've almost considered giving up on my channel, on my page here, because, I don't really get much engagement, and I almost wonder if it's even worth it, do people even listen? But I always tell myself never to give up, because if I give up and I do nothing, well, then nothing's going to happen. That's a guarantee. But at least if I try, if I make 1,000,000 videos, I can at least say at the end of the day, I did my best. I tried, and, even if I reach one person and someone learned something, then that's all that matters. That's how I see it. So that's how I kind of deal with rejection. It still hurt. It's interesting because it's like, when you tell someone something about yourself, like I told the Comic-Con about how, I love public speaking and how I'd like to do this, it's kind of like you're making yourself vulnerable in a way. You're telling them something about you, and they basically get to decide whether, you win or you fail, or, you know what I mean, like you pass or you lose or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say, I'm sorry. So, it's uncomfortable because you don't know them, they don't know you, but yet they still have they get to make a decision over something that would impact you, you know, and that's why I've always been so nervous about even asking women out, because that's even more vulnerable. You're telling a woman that, hey, you like them and you find them attractive and you want to at least spend time with them and talk to them, and to put yourself out there like that, and to do that, and to put, the way I see it is like, you're giving them a piece of your heart, and they have the chance to either take it or not. And it's like, that's how I've always kind of been nervous about that, you know. I haven't really dated much in my life. I've done a little bit of it, but it's different, especially for someone with autism. I haven't really talked about that much on my channel, on my page, because I don't really have a whole lot of experience with dating, so it's not something I'm really too qualified to talk about. But I suppose it kind of goes along with the whole rejection thing. Like, it just, I mean, it's kind of different, but between asking a woman out and asking about a job, it's obviously they're different things, but it is kind of the similar thing. Like, you're putting something about yourself personally out there, and that other person has a choice to either help you or just, you know, reject you. And it does hurt, but, you know, I've learned to keep trying. You know, like I said, I've almost considered getting rid of my channel, rid of my page, and, you know, I just realized I gotta keep trying. My mission, my goal in life is to teach the whole world about autism, you know. I'd love to one day be able to go on a stage and talk to the entire world about autism. Like, if you could somehow give me a microphone, and that microphone has access to every, like, 8 billion people of the world, our entire population, I would do it instantly, no questions asked. But if you had me talk to people face to face without a microphone, yeah, no, I've always said that microphones are like my superpower. Like, they always help me in a way that I can't really explain, because I doubt anyone would understand it. So, but that's getting off topic. But yeah, it is hard getting rejected, and it's nervous even asking someone. Like, before I even ask the question, I feel nervous, because I've always been someone that doesn't like being the person to talk to other people, or to have to come to other people, because it's always made me feel like I'm annoying people. Like, I used to have, well, yeah, my stepbrother, me and him used to play video games a lot together, and he was in the Army, and so for a while we used to play games together all the time, almost every night. And then there got to be a point where I would message him every day, and I'd say, hey, let's play, and he would tell me, oh, he was with his wife, or he was busy. And I felt so bad, because I was bothering him, because I was, you know, taking away time from what he was doing, which was more important than playing video games. So I felt bad about that. And so that's why I've kind of been like, even now, I hate even messaging people, or, you know, this and that, because it kind of makes me feel like, oh, I'm bothering someone, you know. And I've been like that. I apologize all the time to people, even though people always say, oh, you shouldn't apologize. But that's just how I am. I guess it's just been ingrained in me. I've just, you know, I've got my little differences, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's basically how I approach rejection. Definitely prefer doing it over the phone or over email, because you don't have to be in person, have that awkwardness. And I just try to, you know, drown it out and learn from it, and realize, hey, you know, not everything's going to be a yes, but not everything's also going to be a no either, right? There's always going to be a yes out there somewhere. And I recently got in touch with a great person that I can't wait to talk more about. I'm sure he's probably watching this video right now. And he's a great man, very amazing person. I can't wait to talk more about him in the future. So yes, there's always going to be some people who will always say yes and be more than happy to help you. So never give up, you know. I mean, it might feel like you want to give up, and I've been there. I was so close to just be like, yeah, I'm done. No one's watching. But all it takes is one person to say, yeah, you know what, I think I want to help this person. I want to do something for them, and it could just reach you to enormous heights, you know. And so that's what I wanted to say, you know. Just never give up, even if it's hard. Just do your best, you know. Try to drown out the rejections and think about the good things in your life, and just do your best. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like it, please leave a like, or please leave some feedback if you want to. Really appreciate any that you can. And yeah, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see. I've got other stuff planned, of course. Life's been kind of hectic at times. So much of stuff is going on in the background, but we do have some exciting stuff to share with you. And yeah, we'll see you in just a second for the outro. We got a good old friend who's more than happy to say hi to y'all. So here, we'll see you in just a second. Here we are. There's Mark. How you doing, puppy? Yeah. You look good, huh? Of course, we have to have you on the end of the video, like always. Yep, shaking off that fur, huh? Yeah, you look really nice. Look really good today, huh? Yep, you always gotta have you at the end of the video. It's always nice. Hope you all enjoyed this video and found it informative. Definitely plan on having a video on Mark sometime in the near future. Don't know when though, but you know, it'll happen. Yep. Okay, Mark, that's gonna be the end. Bye. He looks so handsome. Just staring for he's posing for the video. Alright, see y'all later. Bye.